How much is that mongrel in the window?
Meow.
The one with the matted tail. How's the rest of the song go? I don't even know how the rest of that song goes.
It's the same thing, and then it just says, I do hope that doggy's for sale.
How much is that doggy in the window with fleas? The one with ticks and the matted tail. The mange is so pretty to look at. Yes, please. I would be so sad if that doggy weren't for sale. That mongrel.
Good job.
That mongrel weren't for sale.
Where does that come from, mongrel?
I don't know, if we dig too deep, it'll probably be another word we can never use again.
No, it sounds like French or something. Sorry, it's just Middle English.
Yeah, well, in the U.S., the term mixed breed is favored over mongrel because there are individuals who wish to avoid the negative connotations associated with the latter term. Everyone talks about how they want a mixed breed, they want a mongrel, you should adopt, go to the shelter, and then every person I know, every single fucking person I know gets a dog and it's a purebred, and then they say, oh, I mean, I know I shouldn't have done it. Surely they're passing judgment on other people who do the same thing. But it's always...
Oh, you think so?
Yes, because everyone talks about the same thing, but then they never follow through. I know there are people who do follow through, so to say no one, but most people I know end up going to the breeder and getting the purebred dog.
Well, I think some of the problem is, like, you can have all the good intentions of getting a dog from the pound that is a mongrel, technically, but so many dogs are like pit bull mixes, and some people just like aren't comfortable with pit bulls, especially when you get them from a pound and you don't know like what their history has been, if they've been abused or not, because like pit bulls can be really sweet dogs, but they can be really aggressive. Obviously they've been abused, I'm sure, too.
And I understand that. I know that there's a risk involved, but you know, all the trash talk about the breeders. You know, some of these dogs shouldn't...
there's trash talk about not breeders necessarily, but like
puppy mills.
Puppy mills.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those aren't breeders.
Well, some of the breeders are trash too because they continue to create dogs that shouldn't exist anymore. Any kind of dog that lives for 6 years because it can't breathe and you can hear it breathing its whole life shouldn't be in existence.
No, but French bulldogs are so cute.
This is the problem. Some dogs served a purpose. They were bred. I don't know the history of a French bulldog. Maybe it does.
I don't either.
Have a purpose to it. But got to some point where it's like, let's just see what we can do. I don't like that snout. Let's remove it. Let's just breed to the point where it has no more snout, and its face is smashed in, and its eyes are bulging. What a life! But you know what? It's cool. It's cool. We did it. You see what we did?
That same person is against, like, they'll say something like, you can't play God. We shouldn't be playing God. You know what I mean? But then they'll, like, get the weird, Labra dachshund doodle.
I also love that there's a big movement that animals aren't for our entertainment. I'm speaking about something specifically, but it's kind of tied to my job, so I have to be careful. But we can't have these videos because this video is people putting an animal on display solely for the sake of human entertainment, and that's not why animals exist, which is fair and fine. But the fact that you have a site that is dedicated to showing it, you can't get around it.
Oh, right.
You can't do it. I'm sorry. You're in it. That's what's happening. You can claim that they're not for our entertainment. You can pick and choose the videos that are shown because you think these are just documentation of animals existing. But ultimately what you're doing is the thing that you say that you're against. So, the only way, it's the same thing that people claim they want equality in the world, but they're not willing to give up anything, which is fair, because if we want equality, then the idea is everyone has the same opportunities to get to the same level. But the truth is, there's only a certain number of spots at those levels up top. And people, especially white people, who claim that they want equality, especially in management positions, leadership positions, higher up executives. Yes, I want nothing more. That'd be the greatest thing. It's like, well, there's only so many spots. Give up yours. No, I'm not willing to go that far.
Well, you're saying, no, I agree with you for the most part, but what do you mean? Like, no one in a position should give up a position.
If they want to run around judging other people and portraying themselves as some inspired mind,
Right, like completely altruistic or something.
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, you're not really willing to do the things that need to be done. A little bit of a hypocrite. That's all.
Okay.
That's why I try not to say much, because there's no way you can really say anything and back it up all the time.
And what?
And back it up. So I tend not to say anything. Tend not to speak.
That's not true. You tend to speak.
No, I don't speak.
You do? You bitch constantly about things.
What, on this podcast?
I don't mean that. No, I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like you have a ton of opinions about lots of things and you talk about them.
Yeah, but it's not really put out there in any kind of way where it's like for public consumption. Well, I say that as we're doing a podcast. But
yeah, that's what I mean. Well,
no, but I mean in my daily life, I guess for posturing is what I should say.
Oh, I see.
I'm not putting anything out there.
Listen, that's not. If you're talking about stuff like that in your daily life, if it's not a part of your job or something, then if you're doing that all the time, then you're not a fun person to be around. Like that kind of stuff is not to be brought up in like regular conversation, unless there's like strange specific instances. But otherwise, it's fine. Everybody, keep your mouth shut. Keep your opinions to yourself.
No,
because when people are talking like that, like like in mixed company, and they're just like saying the shit that they believe, even if I believe it, I'm turned off. Like, ew, why are we stop?
You
Stop
need
it.
to know that I am a good person.
Right. It's
I'm
really.
I'm one of the best white people in existence.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, at every given opportunity, I also don't think that people should be buying purebreds as I sit here and pet my golden retriever that cost me $3,000.
Yeah. Is it a purebred dog if it's like a mixed up dog of fancy dogs?
I don't know enough about breeding. I can't say. I can't speak to it.
Do you know what I mean? Because like a purebred, okay, because like a French bulldog, there's a French bulldog and a bulldog. You could say that the French bulldog is a offshoot of the bulldog. So wouldn't that mean that the French bulldog is a mongrel because you've like adjusted it? Oh, wait. No. Okay. So I think when you keep it and you start doing things like, I'm going to pick the one out of the litter that has the shortest snout and then breed that with another, bulldog that has a shorter snout, and you kind of create a new breed. I guess that's still purebred. It's not so like a Labradoodle cannot be a purebred dog.
I mean, at some point,
mixed.
Yeah, but at some point, when does it become its own breed? There's mixed breeding at some
like
point.
A Yorkshire Terrier.
It's not a world that I'm that interested in.
I'm just curious.
No, I agree. I've never really followed it. I don't necessarily care. I think the dogs are nice. That's about the extent of my thought. Yeah, they're nice.
Well, you're really, maybe we should talk about this as the topic, because I have a friend that got a dog and now they're like, I don't know if we should have this dog.
I think we talked about pets. We already did a pets show. We could talk about dogs, but I'm not prepared for dogs. I'm prepared for the topic that you presented, even though that you feel as though I don't have any confidence in it. I've not instilled.
You never have. There is never. I would say 98% of the topics that I suggest, you say, you can talk about that for an hour. Or
How dare you? I support what women have to think and what they say and their opinions.
good for you.
Just not yours.
Yeah, just not mine.
I also think plastic's bad as I sip out of a styrofoam cup with a plastic lid, but a paper straw.
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
My name is Greg Russ. You always say that. It does not instill trust or foster creativity.
That's what I texted you.
This is the text I got before we started recording this episode.
Because I tried to come up with the topic, and anytime I come up with a topic and I send it to you, you always question it. Instead of like, okay, let's see what let's figure it out. I'm sure we can do it because we're awesome.
Well, you did. So you said passwords. And I said passwords with an exclamation, a question mark and an exclamation for a whole show in all capital letters. Okay, whatever you say. And then you say you always say that. I guess I do always say that.
Yeah, you always question it. If it's about food, you're just like, food again? Can't do food.
Well, food's different because food would come up constantly. And quite often when we're throwing around ideas, food is always appearing. And I don't want every episode to be about food. I
know, but it hasn't been about food for so long. We probably could make it about food again.
I think when it comes to the mundane topics, like obviously I push them out there with socks. And I understand that's not fair. Like, why can you do it? Why can't I do it? It's because sometimes I feel you just have a fleeting idea. Something pops in your mind for a second. It's like, I imagine you just sitting there staring off into the distance and something pops into your mind. And you're like, that's a good topic. And that's the extent of it. And like, you don't think anymore about what would be talked about or discussed. And I'm not saying it's fair. It kind of falls into the same category in my mind as you in reading or you in history. Like, it's not just that you're not interested in those things and you don't do them, but it becomes like a point of pride. Like, yeah, that's who I am. That's my identity. I'm a person who doesn't do this. And having just a thought and not prepping more for the show, right or wrong, you're going to have your chance here to tell me that I'm full of shit. Right or wrong, in my mind, that's how it exists. You're like, yeah, I had an idea, but I don't need to prep. We're just going to go and we're just going to do it.
Well, I do find it insulting that you're saying like it's part of my personality that I don't know history and I don't read. I do present it that way on the radio show because on the radio show we are a little bit more of like a caricature of ourselves and there's not a lot of room for nuance. So on that show, yeah, I like to pretend like don't read, like, oh, I don't know history, which it's not wrong, but I don't it's not a point of pride. I think sometimes it can be used to be funny because like sometimes my friend Michelle and I will laugh about the stuff we don't know. We're like, holy shit, we don't know that. Like what, when did this happen in history? I have no idea. Or like, where is that?
You like
I don't know,
There's no shame.
Well, it can be funny. It can be funny that it's like, wow, that's crazy that we don't know that. But it's not a point of pride or a point of shame. It's just a blind spot. However, I know a lot. And the more I feel like the more I'm going to try and defend it, the more insecure I'm going to sound. But
you don't have to defend it. I'm not.
Yeah, I know a lot of stuff. I know I can talk about a lot of things with people, no matter what people are talking about, unless it's like really out of my league, like, specific niches of science or something. But, I don't. Yeah. So I don't like that you think of it that way. I think that maybe that's like an old way of personifying me.
I get worried that we start the show and then 10 minutes in, it's like, all right, that's it. And then there's moments of silence and awkwardness.
Yeah. So the thing is though, hold on, you had your chance.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, that could be a fear. I understand that. But when have I done that with you? When you bring a topic, except for the one I abandoned you on trains.
I still did pretty well. I really carried that because I was prepped. I had pages of notes.
That's fine. What I'm saying is I abandoned you on that one, right? You felt abandoned. Maybe I did. I don't recall exactly yet. And I don't want to listen back to it because I feel nervous or like ashamed of it or something. But what I'm saying is, if you bring me a topic, I don't instantly, what feels like to me, shit on it.
Because there's a trust. You know.
I don't
You
right.
know.
Why don't you trust me? I think it's just a control thing. I think it's out of your control. And so you don't trust anybody else to run it except for you. And I'm not saying that you're always going to be wrong in not trusting. I'm not saying that.
It is a control thing.
But for you to always,
because I feel as though
for you to always question my topic, it does not, it doesn't put me in a great position. It puts me like, it buries me under. So now it's like, now I really got to deliver because Greg's going to already be like leaning back in his chair with his arms crossed. Like, let's see you fuck this up. You know,
that's not what I do. Else I would say,
no, it's not what you do. But listen, it's not what you do. But you reacting that way, it does put me in that position. Do you know what I mean?
No, you've created that part of it. You're right up until that part.
No, you shouldn't react that way. You can think it and be afraid of it, but you should be supportive. You should be a supportive partner.
I think early on, the hotels episode is what scared me for life. Because I thought hotels, this will be great. And then I don't know what the hell happened with hotels. Kind of just fell off. And
you start to, what happens with you is that you get in your head and you start thinking about what is the audience thinking right now? They probably think this sucks. Oh my God, this sucks so much. Oh my God, now this better be good or else, oh no, it's really sucking. And
there's nothing wrong with putting thought into a show that you're doing for an audience. This show isn't for us.
Nobody's saying that. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with putting thought into a show. What there is a problem with is in the middle of the show getting so up in your head about what we're saying and what we're doing.
Oh, it's not in the middle of it. It's before it. That's why you get those responses. Or after. If it's a show like hotels after, then I'm like, oh God. And then
that's like what Eric does, where he's like, I go home and I think, oh, that show sucked. I suck. And then it's, like the audience loved it. So you can't gauge it. Well,
we're gonna do it. I feel like there's enough. I quite
now. There's no way. There's no way.
No, there's totally a way. I'm prepared. I have some things to say about it. I also don't think it's a bad topic. Well,
then what you should have done is not texted me that right after I suggested it.
Okay, I apologize.
Because what it does, thank you. Because the next time you have a topic, like every time, if you texted me and you said, whatever your topic was, I was like, oh, I don't know, like that's gonna be all right. Well, if you can do it, it's like, no, we're a partnership.
I would think
I want to boost you up. So like whatever you say, I'm going to be like, all right, buckle up. Maybe I don't have a lot to say, but you know what? I'm going to have a lot to say because Greg's going to have things to say.
Oh, but that's the thing. What if I don't have enough to say? Maybe I don't have a lot to say.
Well, then I'll say a lot to say with. That's fine. I can do it with you.
And then we're in a spot where we have nothing to say. And then we're doing a show.
No, the problem is, okay, in this scenario, right, is if you come up with the topic, I think it's a bad one, and I tell you so, right? So then you go into the show already thinking like, oh, Autumn doesn't like the topic. So, I better do a really good job.
I will do a really good job.
That's not the point. I'm saying though, you can go into it, like I said, in this negative space. And then because I have chosen not to be so supportive, then in the middle of it, I'm going to be like, yep, watch you burn because I knew this wasn't going to work. And don't you feel stupid? You should do more prep.
Yeah, but you
aren't good at this.
Well, I have done prep. I always do prep. I at least have something.
Excuse me. I'm not talking about reality. I'm talking about this scenario.
Okay. Well, I've never set it up where I've enjoyed watching you crash and burn. That's not a favorite pastime of mine. Eating Cracker Jack, sitting like it's a baseball game.
Yeah. I'm not saying that you have enjoyed it, but I think coming from that starting place, it's going to be easier for you to let it crash because you're like, see, it's what I thought. Instead of like going into it with a more positive outlook.
Well, we're doing it. We're going. I think it's...
I'm not, like I said, I'm just saying the way that you approach my topics for some reason seem to be like extra critical, and sucks.
It's not critical of the topics, is the whole point of me.
Critical of me.
Yes, I'm totally critical.
Why?
Of you.
What have I done?
Again, that's cool. I like this thing. What do you like about it? I don't know. I was sitting there thinking about it.
Where do ideas come from?
The idea is just the start. You have the idea, and you say, it's like you have an idea for a book. The book's not written. You have the idea for the book, then you got to write the book.
Yeah, so this is us writing the book.
So the idea then has to be...
Am I supposed to write the book a little bit first, and then you're supposed...
Yeah, you're supposed to outline it next. Then you outline it, and you flesh it out, and then you start writing it. And the recording is the writing. So there's the process of the thought, and then you start outlining it and fleshing it out. Like, this is where I'm going with it. This is what I'm thinking. And then we do the writing. Sometimes I feel like that middle step is cut out. Like, I got the idea. All right, let's do it.
Well, I mean...
Improvising's fine. If it's something that we inherently have knowledge about or something you can riff on, I'm happy to do it that way also. I really am. But I feel like something as passwords, riffing only goes so far. Last week's show was total riffing. We just, that's not what we were expecting to do. And, I think it turned out all right. We kind of jumped all over the place, but I was able to cheat a bit with the title and have the play on planes, trains, and automobiles. That counts as one topic to me. So, and it kind of naturally fell that way. So there's certain topics that we can do that on, and other ones that I feel as though like, okay, if we're not prepared, this isn't going to last that long. And you know where that comes from? That comes from the time I did the Maxim radio on Sirius. I went in with just topics, but didn't really think about what I was going to say. And I had to do a 2-hour show, and like 40 minutes in, I got nothing left.
Yeah, you used up all your content.
It sucked. And, I think at that point I told myself, it's like, all right, you got to prep better. And, we treat these podcasts, even though they're recorded, and we could stop. I don't want to stop. Then it becomes messy in the editing process, and you have to find ways to connect it.
I don't want to do that either.
As far as I'm concerned, it's live. So we're treating this as live. And if it ran out of steam, then the show would just end. And if it were 12 minutes in, that would be that.
Well, I don't want to put all the blame, like all of the reasoning. I don't want to take all of like the blame off of me. I think that I'm fine with holding some of that blame. As far as like not doing enough, expecting to mostly riff. Because that is what I'm good at, and that's what I like to do.
That's what the show is.
Hold on. And I like to see where things go. I think part of it, though, is sometimes the way that you do, like, poo-poo so many of my topics, and then that I feel like I could riff on with you, and then I feel a little bit nervous about, like, what should I do? Like, I can't choose any food because you always shit on it. And I know that, like, it's been a long time since we've done it, and now maybe we could, but yeah, sometimes I'm a little like, oh, I don't know. Oh, he won't like that. Oh,
yeah. So. And I don't want that. I want you to put your ideas out there. So, having an environment where you don't feel comfortable doing that's not what I want. There's nothing worse to me though than a forced show where it's like, all right, now they're just such a reach. Like the riffing is done.
But what comes with that then is that we are going to have to sometimes be vulnerable and maybe just like run out of steam. And then we can laugh about like, wow, we ran out of steam. Because it's not a live show like you were on the radio that time for that Maxim thing.
If it happened
totally
once,
different. We can just.
If it happened once, sure, but it can't become a trend where it's like.
No, I'm
not
saying no, but I'm saying it's okay if it does happen because.
I don't know if it's okay. I just don't want it. In stepping out of a comfort zone and creating something in the first place, I don't want it to be like, all right, you couldn't really do it, but here, you're going to deal with it. Here's this half-baked thing.
Yeah, but the thing is that we wouldn't just come to a halt and then not know what to do. You know what I mean? Like we would end up talking about something. It just might not be very on topic for that topic.
That's another thing. And I know that as this show has continued on, it's kind of evolved away from just one topic. We tend to stick to it and, good enough job. But I don't want it to also just become a thing where we're constantly like, oh, we're just going to talk about 12 things. Like you already look at the pre-show, which is where we talk about a bunch of different things. That's grown from a minute or two, 3 minutes. Now it's like 12, 13, 15, sometimes 20 minutes filling up the time, which fine, except, we've set what this show is supposed to be. And I still would prefer to work in that framework. And if we don't want to do that, and just end this show and do some other show. Autumn and Greg chat.
I know. Well, I think that I am enjoying that more. Not more.
But everyone does it. It's nothing special. Every person in the fucking world does it. And, we're lucky enough to have some people who listen to us because they listen to the radio show in Atlanta. So there's a built-in audience. But, most people, they jump in and they just do a show where it's conversational and they're talking, and that's fine. But I don't, not to say the things we talk about aren't interesting. It's probably a 50-50 split. It's good enough. But I don't think there's anything special about it at that point.
I think, though, no one is coming to our show because we gave so much information about, I don't know, what was one of our topics? I don't know, memory or something.
No, that's what I was saying earlier. They came
because we're going to make them laugh, or we're going to make them think, because we're honest. And
well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like the show, in essence, is us
chatting, basically.
It is, but it's a bit focused and presented that way, whether or not it's someone's cup of tea. Maybe if someone wants a show that's more focused and more based in fact, and they're going to really learn the history of something. Like, obviously, that's not what we're doing. But having it structured the way it is, I think, gives us a better opportunity to have someone stumble upon it. Like, oh, what's this show? Oh, all these different topics. Then they listen. Right, yeah. Then they decide, oh, these are just two fucking morons talking, and they don't really know anything. And then they go away. Or maybe it's entertaining enough. If you just present it as them. Yeah, but if you just put it out there as like, here's two people talking, it's like, all right, yeah, I've heard this. Every loser comedian I've ever come across has a show of them chatting with their buddies.
I know, but those are okay. So I think about the show that I listened to, the Sexy Unique podcast, and it started out as like a Vanderpump Rules recap show. And then it turned into a bunch of other recaps of things that are amazing. But they have bonus episodes where it is just them chatting. And I love those. I'll listen to stuff I don't watch from them just because I think they're funny.
And you are open to that more than a lot of people, I feel.
Okay.
And we do present the show once a year, the Free for Fall, where we talk about anything. And again, the pre-show is really being pushed and stretched.
Yeah.
And I don't, whatever.
It's fun.
Sure, it is. It is.
Maybe we should just start like just leading into it. And the pre-show is just so long.
We did that in one of these episodes recently. We just ended
I remember,
up
but
talking.
let's just keep doing.
But anyway, on to this week's.
The pre-show gets longer and longer.
On to this week's topic. You bring up passwords. And look, it's relevant in my life because I just got a new iPhone. That's right. I upgraded.
Oh, you did?
Not when I needed. I didn't need to upgrade, except I did. And that's a whole different story. I'll just quickly tell it because it's absolutely ridiculous. For whatever reason, in New York, there's several states that when you lease your iPhone, any phone, it doesn't have to be an iPhone, it can be an Android. When you lease your phone, if you don't pay it off before the lease date is up, you're not allowed to buy it. So in essence, you spend 24 months pumping money into this thing. And if you don't pay it off like at the 23rd month or before, you're not allowed to buy it at that point.
What?
Yeah. So I get to this point and I'm not allowed to buy it. I'm not allowed to buy the phone. And not only that, the lease is going to go up in price for an older phone. It's going to, because before what I was paying for my phone was based on a trade-in. I owned my last phone. I gave it to them. They knocked some money off. And then they said, okay, you're paying $12 a month for this new phone. And then it was going to jump to $40 a month to
Ooh.
lease an old iPhone 11 Pro. And I was like, fuck this, I'm getting rid of it. And I did. And here's why I wish I had gotten the mini. I wish I had gotten the 13 mini.
No, my mom has a mini.
No, it's great. It's what I need it for. I don't need cameras. Fuck the Pro and the 3 lenses. Give me a break.
Yeah.
What kind of goof needs all of that?
I don't think it needs to get any goddamn bigger, but I don't like the mini.
I like the mini because
Yeah.
I have this fantasy where I'm ditching the smartphone altogether. But, I'm at the point where it's a form of payment and I take the train and you tap it to get into the subway instead of swiping the card. And it's like, oh, God, I'm there. It's built in. I can never get rid of it at this point. And the mini is just like a way to fool yourself a bit. It's like, all right, I'm going smaller when everyone's going. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess with the 13, the Pro and the normal 13 are the same size. I just went with the normal 13. And I joke about it, but somewhere inside, I feel a little lesser than because everyone gets the Pro. Like the Pro was sold out and backlogged.
What's the difference?
The Pro's on with 3 cameras, and there's a few different things. It has higher processing.
The 11 had 3, right?
The 11 Pro did. The regular 11 only had 2.
Oh, because I have this one. Is that the 12? I don't know.
Hold it up again. Yeah, you have 3. Whichever one you got. You've got a Pro version. I don't know. I guess the new one has a stainless steel body instead of aluminum. It's got 6 gigs of RAM instead of 4 gigs of RAM. And then there's some video codecs and crap like that I'm never, ever going to use. And it's got the camera.
Oh, I have an 11 Pro. Sorry.
Yeah. That's what I had. It's fine. And I got the 13.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. The point is.
I feel like, so you didn't feel like you needed anything different. It just was, you were going to either keep it and pay more or get a new one and pay
it's the fucking
less?
Same. Yeah, I'm paying less because they had a deal. For whatever reason, I'm paying $4 a month for this thing.
Wow, that's awesome.
I don't know what the deal was or why, but I got it somehow.
So that's less, even if since it is a lease or whatever, in 24 months, you're gonna end up paying less than you would have if you just bought it outright.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah. It's fine, but it's exactly the same. We're at the point where these things, like the last one, I know there's been advancements and it's better, but the last one was fine. It ran very well, and using this one, I don't even realize it's a different phone. But in upgrading and putting this is how it ties into passwords. I don't use keychain. Do you use keychain? Do you save your passwords to the keychain?
Well, I mean, I have a bunch of, I think so.
I never did. For whatever reason, in my mind, there's this idea that someone's going to get a hold of the keychain, and I know that there's I actually don't know anything about the security behind a keychain and how it's encrypted or anything. But in my mind, it's like someone's going to access it and have all my passwords. Fuck that. I'm not doing it. But we're at the point where there's so many damn apps on the phone that require passwords that then are linked to Face ID that when I upgraded, it took hours to log back into all these apps because I couldn't remember what the hell the password was. Because you set it and you don't even use it now if you use Face ID. So it's not in my brain. And there was a lot of guessing and a lot of resetting. And it sucked. And I think if you save it to keychain, I think that once you...
Yeah, it'll be stored in the cloud. Yes. So that when you transfer over, when you get the new phone,
it's all there.
All that data it's all just there. Interesting. So, do you have a different password for so many different things?
I tend no because of that reason. I'm trying to remember them, but they grow and they're variants. Yeah, because at some point, passwords could just be anything. It could be all lowercase one word, and then you get to the point where some sites are requiring you to use an uppercase, and then they require you to use a number. It's like, okay, so I have variants of that, and then it's like, no, you need a special character too. Okay, fine. Yep. So I've got a variant that's without a number, with a special character. Then you get to the point where every few months they force you to change it. So it's like, okay, now it's a variant on that variant, and it starts to get a bit confusing. I can usually guess though within a few tries. I know the range that it falls in. But my email has a password that's used nowhere else. And that's a security thing. because a lot of times if you want to change a password, if someone hacked into something else, they would also need to get into my email. And
Oh, that's a good idea.
And the email, it's the only place that password is used. Nowhere else. Then
Oh, but is it Google? It's Gmail?
yeah, it's Gmail.
Because then are there other things that you sign into with your Gmail?
I refuse to do that. I don't do it. I will just create a
I've fallen.
Yeah, I won't. For that reason, I don't do that.
That's smart.
It's like, no, I'm not signing in with Gmail or with Google. I'm just going to create an account outside of that. And then all my banking financial stuff has a specific password. But outside of that, yeah, there's like 2 passwords with multiple variants that I use on every other thing. And
but still, you have to go through those.
Yeah, and sometimes at some point one of my passwords did get hacked, and I got one of those emails that said, "Hello, we know your password. Does this look familiar?" And they show you the password, like, "Oh yeah, that's my password." And then it's a scam where they say they've got footage of you jerking it. And we hacked into your computer. Now that you know that we have your password, you must believe that we've been able to hack into your computer and recorded you pleasuring yourself. And if you don't send us money, we'll release those. Sometimes I still use that password. I'm like, fuck you. I don't care. For things I don't care about, I'll still use that same exact password. Because I doubt that they're going through and trying it. They just got a hold of it and they wanted to run their scam.
Yeah, the biggest part of that wasn't to hack your stuff. It was to get you to pay some ransom or whatever.
Yeah. And I've never once I did with Hulu, I think. Somebody did get a hold of my password. I think it maybe was that password. Because I got to sign in like Sri Lanka or something.
Did you let them keep it?
No. Change the password immediately.
I'd be like, hey, just create your own profile. Just don't mess up my, what I've been watching.
If they had asked, possibly, if there was like an email, it's like, hey, I got your password. Do you mind if I use this? I'm like, okay, it's fine. I already have.
Yeah, that happened with my Netflix. Somebody got it from India. And, it was crazy because when you sign in and you want to change the password, you can't. Because then it sends you put in your email and it's like, that's not the email with your account.
Yeah, that's why I changed it quickly.
They got me.
Yeah, as soon as because I got the alert that they had signed in and I changed it immediately because I knew at that point that the email would be changed. I missed
it. So then what happened when I finally got in and was able to put everything back, it was a person and then their kids. They had like 2 kids profiles. I was like, oh man.
Yeah, don't feel bad, though. They stole it from you.
Oh, I know. Listen, of course. But also another part of that pie chart was like, I don't know. I'll let you kids have the account.
What do they expect? I wonder how long it lasts. Like once they're in, does it go on for weeks, for months? They just keep using it?
It could, because like if you think about it, there's all kinds of different ways that people even use Netflix. It could be like on a rental property that, is shut down for the winter, but their Netflix account for that thing is still there. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't even use it. Who knows?
Well, that's why they should leave it alone. They shouldn't change passwords. They should just try to be covert about it.
Mm-hmm. Just sneak in. Yeah, and you could just log in and you're like, why is my, continue watching full of anime? I don't watch anime.
Yeah, I guess you would notice that when things that were recommended or if a new account pops up, like, what is that? But I think going in and trying to just lock the owner out is going to be... Yeah, so you're not going to keep it for very long unless the person's not using it. And we are at the point where I guess a lot of these apps people aren't using. And I assume they probably... I shouldn't say they're not using them all, but there's so many. Some get used less than others, and maybe you're not on top of it. Like with your Paramount Plus subscription.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I have that. Someone's been using it for a year and a half. I hadn't even thought about trying it.
Yeah, I logged into something the other day. I was like, I don't have that. And I went into it and it accepted me and knew me. Like, oh.
Do you use the same password across all of those streaming platforms?
Yeah, so I know that you're not supposed to use the same passwords, but I mean,
it's a fucking pain. What are you supposed to do? I know we're at the point where you can log on, like a code pops up on your TV and you go to the browser and you can bypass the password. So maybe having a different password isn't as annoying, but come on. There's too many things.
And those ones that are the suggested password where it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. I can't do that. I don't trust that. I'll never know that.
Well, you're supposed to, at this point, either keep a log of it or use some kind of...
But then the log.
No, I get it. Or like a
Yeah.
password manager where there's a program that's also protected and everything's listed in there. But
And you pay for, like, to really get one that's good, though, you have to pay.
yeah, just another thing to pay for.
Damn, another thing. I'm not going to say exactly what my parents do, but my mom like has a good system where like she adjusts things based on the app. So if it is Netflix, then it's like everything's the same except the letters are different because of the Netflix, because it's an N. Or if it's Hulu, then it has an H in it in the specific place. So that's kind of smart, I think.
Yeah. Unless you start having things that have multiple things start with the same letter.
Right, yeah. If it's like Hulu and HBO. Oh God, what do I do?
Yeah, then you have no clue. I guess you can use the same password for both of those if you really wanted to. But it's a lot to keep up with, and it really is a bane of modern existence. As we sit here and complain and Ukraine is being invaded.
Oh.
Sorry to derail things. Go back.
You brought it to a place of World War III.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's been on my mind.
I know, it's on my mind too.
It's like these people were just existing and living their lives, and now, you've got war outside your door. And we sit here talking about having too many passwords is...
Yeah. I can't remember them.
It's a very tough thing.
Yeah, it's funny on TikTok, you can go from someone's live footage of like missiles in the air and them talking and like walking through the city and people being scared, and then the next one is like another guy in Ukraine saying in Russian like, if I'm gonna die, I may as well listen to music. And he has like the speaker that's like he has on his porch, and he's like blasting Skrillex.
It is. It's all very.
And then it's again like a live feed of the subway where everyone's huddling down. It's like, I don't know how to feel.
A lot of the reactions are very Eastern European, where there's a level of darkness to it and acceptance. Like, yeah, this is happening. Okay. I did see, just to tie it into our subject, I don't know what the accounts were for, and I don't know if it was real, but Anonymous has been on the prowl, and apparently they had a list of Russian officials' emails, logins, and passwords, but for what accounts, I don't know. So that was
like some high-ranking Russian officials, like Hulu account.
No, it was more of an official state business account. Okay. I can maybe look it up quickly. I just saw it quickly and didn't look into it anymore. I have to assume once these things are published, they get changed anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I mean, what would they... I don't think that people are emailing, their coordinates and things and what they're going to do. I'm sure it's a secure...
It was the database...
transmission or something.
Yeah, the database of the Russian Ministry of Defense. They managed to breach the database belonging to the Russian Ministry of Defense. The group's actions appear to be part of a growing trend that is seeing a growing number of cyber soldiers take to the newest front in the war against Russia. See, I don't know what you do once you have the database and you can get it. What do you do when you're in it? I guess it's cool to show off.
I think people in the know would know what to look for and what to access, but
it shows their phone numbers.
The hackers that are looking at it don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it shows their phone numbers, emails, and passwords. And, I guess with a phone number especially, that seems like it'd be the most annoying. You could really just start calling people and harassing them. And I get it. There's a drive to help and do something and having this. But I feel as though whatever good
it gives you a sense of control.
Yeah, but whatever good it does. Whatever good you could do with it, though, once you publish it, then it's kind of out the window because it's all going to be changed. I feel as though holding on to it and working within it, and instead of using it to show off.
Yeah, they shouldn't post that they have it. They should. I don't know how things work. It seems like
maybe
an Independence Day, like you can just drive up to the White House and like say, "Hi, I have some information for you."
Maybe they did the same thing. Now that we have this. Know that we have video of you jerking it, and if you don't stop this war now, we will release this video to all the world. And then they say, ha ha ha, yeah, right. And then out of nowhere, a bunch of videos come out of Russian Ministry of Defense officials masturbating is filling our feeds. Maybe that would stop the war at that point. Like, oh boy.
All right. Well, then we need the Nigerians on this.
I do think that there were some of the passwords on there too that fell into that stupid list of, the dumbest, most widely used passwords.
Oh, really?
Where like password is one of them.
Password 123.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What are some of the
I
others?
remember
11111, I think, is a popular one.
Oh, maybe they thought they were so clever, like hiding in plain sight.
Well, now I'm just running through the list arbitrarily from what I can remember. And I know that qwerty is one. That wouldn't work in Russian so much.
Oh, yeah.
The QW.
So maybe for them, it's like actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, whatever theirs are. It just, as stupid as one of my passwords is, and the one that was hacked, it's not something you would guess. You're not just guessing it. And to have one of these passwords like password 123, that's a bit ridiculous because anyone can just try it. It's like, all right, that didn't work. But if it does, like, wow. Sometimes,
well, and that's not how password hacking works, right? It's that they purchase some information about someone, right? And then they use that across the board, or like use it to figure out how to get into like banking.
Actual hacking. But I'm saying that there are times, I guess, well, there was one instance I can think of that I guessed a password because it was so obvious. Someone's Wi-Fi network was called Obama. And I guessed the password as Barack, and it worked.
Barack, yeah.
And he just stole the person's Wi-Fi for a while. And
was it a capital B?
Yes. But if it wasn't, I would have tried a lowercase b.
Right.
One of the two probably would have worked. But I just matched what the network was, and it had a capital O, so that's what I went along with. You're not supposed to use personal information because it is, I guess, easily guessable. Yeah, whoops for you.
Yeah.
Now you're giving people a hint of what it could possibly be.
Well, I have other parts of it that you won't know, but yeah, I mean, you could start guessing with mine, but like I said, it's not like that. Hackers aren't just like a room full of chimpanzees trying to write Shakespeare. They're not just like trying passwords.
No, but as we talk about this, there may be people out there listening who want to get into something. Maybe they think you have nudes stored away on the cloud. And if they can get in, like the fappening.
I don't send my pictures to the cloud. So
what a stupid name, by the way. I hated that.
Cloud?
No, the fappening. Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean,
fapping is so gross. That word is gross.
Outside of the name, the fact that there was that invasion of privacy, I didn't like. I guess there's curiosity that comes around that when it was hacked and everything was released. But I never, like, when I did look at something, it's like, it doesn't feel good. It didn't feel good. No. It's someone's stolen property that they thought it would never be seen. It's one thing. It's still not cool if you send a nude to someone and then they release it. That's still not cool. But in a way, it's to be at least thought about. Not expected, but thought about. It's like, all right, I'm sending this and I'm giving someone else control of this. And if they want to be an asshole and release it. But when there's no expectation, it's
like assumed risk. There's some assumed risk.
Yeah, when it's assumed that it's going to be protected and then it's released. And like these people were pretty proud of themselves. And then they assigned, I don't know who assigned that god awful name to it.
Yeah. Idiots on Reddit.
Just think about if some of them were pretty graphic with people. And if those were your photos.
The only one I knew saw was that Jennifer Lawrence one.
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like her. Could be anyone.
No, but it's to know that it's out there. It sucks. It's like, hey, fuck you. But I guess if you're in the public eye in any way, people feel as though they're entitled. You're not really, you're not deserving of privacy. So going back to you, you say nobody's trying. And now that we talk about it, someone could start guessing. I don't think they would ever get any. I don't know your passwords. I just knew the one that was tied to the Amazon Music.
Yeah.
which I did try
There's
to
some
log
numbers
into. I did try to log into the other day in updating my
Yeah, so
phone.
I got a notice and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, oh, wait, it's New York. That's Greg. No big deal.
But I couldn't get in because now you got the 2-step verification shit going on.
And it didn't send me a verification.
And I said, okay,
It just let me know that something was suspicious.
you got the password correct, but now you got to have the code. And then I didn't want to ask you for the code because it felt...
Oh, send me the code. I don't care.
No, you would have to send me the code.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm saying tell it to send me the code and I'll send it back.
All right, I'll try it again later.
Yeah, I like sharing my stuff. I kind of feel like, it's kind of like a fuck you to the company. Stop charging us so much.
But that is interesting that the password's assigned to that. So I do that with my Netflix. I guess I did give my Netflix a different password because I've got multitudes of leeches who use it.
How many I thought you kicked some out.
I kicked someone out because at some point, one of the people I gave access to gave it to her roommate, some guy I've never met. And then it put me over the screen limit. And I said, hey, no, this stays within us. And then I still let her back in. But I also
you let her back in.
Yeah, I also had to up the screen limit anyway. So I'm letting people use this and I couldn't even watch half the time. But I gave that a separate password. I feel as though you didn't. Like that password that I know probably would get me into other things.
It absolutely would. I think you can get into my SunTrust. Like you could get into lots of stuff.
I don't want to go to your SunTrust. Probably very depressing.
Yeah, probably.
I don't want to feel sad and scared.
Like how's she functioning right now?
I don't want to worry.
She has 2 kids. She's 30. She's almost 40.
She's part of a very successful radio show and has no money. That's not your fault.
I actually I've been paying a bunch of stuff down and not just down, but like paying it off. So I have way less overhead. So after I allocated all the money for March, I actually have a decent amount of money left over. So that's kind of fun.
Good.
That feels comforting and safe.
Yes. Except one day you have to retire and then you realize none of it's comforting and safe.
Well, I have a Vanguard account. I have a 401k. I have a Roth IRA.
Good.
I have secret things happening in the background that just like, oh man, my AMC. Ooh, babe. My AMC stock is versad.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do?
People are still online saying like, every time it goes down, I buy more.
I'm
like, yikes. I don't know.
People are alleviating their anxiety in different ways. Like, yes, I'm at the point where I'm losing money on it too. The idea behind it still exists, the squeeze, but going into it, I knew that in theory, it should play that way. If a bunch of people buy and hold and don't sell, there's a limited number of stocks out there. And if those are
bought... But they just kept getting rescued.
Well, it's not even rescued. Like there's something called naked short selling that's probably happening, but nobody can prove it. And there's this idea that the SEC is taking steps to make that more transparent, and that could still trigger. It could or it could not. I still don't buy. I buy into the idea of what was sold. It's like, yes, in theory, this still exists and this could happen, squeezing the short sellers. But with the way the market actually operates and the big players being too powerful, I don't know if it ever will. And it sucks to lose money, but also I sunk a decent amount in. But it's like, it's nothing that I think about like, oh, fuck, I'm fucked. Like there are people who put everything into it. And that kind of...
that they sold.
No, because then they would be paper hand bitches if they sold, hold. And then it could still go back up. It did.
Of course it could. But, and I really, right now, I'm kind of keeping it, excuse me. I'm kind of keeping it just because I feel like there's going to, like, what if there's like a lawsuit or something and I could be a part of it? I don't know.
Who knows where it's going to go. I mean, I haven't looked. I looked at it, but I don't pay attention to it that much anymore.
I look at it and think, I'm never thinking like, could it be? I'm just like, well, all right, let's see what's happening now.
I mean, overall, stock market sucks right now because, part of this is happening to AMC too. It's still a stock, even if it doesn't, it's not a fundamental play. Everything's crashed. Like if you have a 401k, don't look at it right now. It's going to look like shit.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Because it adjusts with the market, and the market is crashing. It's not crashing, but it's dropped quite a bit.
That makes sense.
You know, I had a Roth IRA that now has less money in it than when I initially funded it.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because the market is taking a shit.
Ooh, now I'm curious.
Well, that's a long play though, so whatever. It's supposed to sit there. This is why when these things happen and you're older and closer to retirement, that it's bad.
You conserve it. You have a conservative account.
Yeah, you get it out is what you do, because if it crashes and you're old and you don't have years to wait and you needed that money, then you're fucked.
Yeah.
So that's
my parents right now. Maybe they should take out their money.
I mean, I don't know. I would wait. I don't know what your parents' deal is, but I would probably
they're both retired.
I know, but at this point, as much as it's dropped, I would probably wait until it goes back up some, because it will.
Well, unless
nuclear war happens.
Yeah. Oh my God. If I knew what website they use, I could probably log into theirs just based on my mom's like code that she uses for her passwords.
I thought I guess you know her system.
I know the system. That's the thing. You'll only like if someone purchased her information for like her Hulu password or something, then I think that they might be able to take it across the board into all kinds of other things.
Do you have a 6? This is a password, a PIN code. Do you have 6 or 4 still?
I wish it was 4, because all my passwords are 4. All the ones that like I started with are all 4. And so now that it's 6, like it requires 6. I just, whatever the last digit is, I just press the most.
Yeah, I think that I've used 4 my whole life. And in the instances,
we're from the generation of 4.
Yeah, in the instances where I had to use 6, I just kind of repeated the number.
Yeah. I forgot about those PIN codes as a password. I guess they are. You remember how such a big deal when you got your debit card and it was like, shield your code. I just remember it. And even like on the machines, there's that like little umbrella, that little like awning over the numbers so that people can't see your secret code.
They've moved away from that. I know you're talking about the hood where you would hide under it.
Yeah.
It made sense. If someone was watching, they just have
But it doesn't
skimmers.
make sense. You know why? Because those debit cards, if you don't press debit, it just runs as a credit card. So you could totally still use it.
Oh, yeah. I was talking about withdrawing money. Oh,
man. If I stole somebody's debit card, I would just get cash back, right? Couldn't you just do it that way? I guess if you use it as a credit card, you can't.
No, you can't do it at that point.
I would just buy something and then return it, maybe.
Or just take it to the ATM. That's what I would get the money out of.
Yeah, but I don't know the code.
Oh, yeah. So at that point, you may as well. What was I going to say? You don't know the code. So at that point, you may as well just use it as a credit card. It's not protected.
Yeah, you just got to use it. Fill up your gas, order pizzas.
Well, gas usually asks for the zip code.
Ooh. Yeah, that's true.
It's this little safety mechanism there. Because gas
you know what's kind of funny? Remember I was telling you that I'm getting like all of these like scammer DMs on Instagram lately? And they all start, every one of them that's like a scammer starts with, where are you from? Where are you from? Hi, hun. Next message. Where are you from? And so I've been saying, I've been playing around because I think it's fun. So I'll say like different places. And because sometimes they don't understand English very well, they're like, oh, wow. Or like, where's different places? I just think they don't understand what I mean.
Interesting.
And so sometimes I make it up. I say like Germany, Japan, Texas.
You should start letting them hack you a bit, but not hack, but fish, where you just give wrong information so it annoys them. I got kicked off of AOL once for a phishing scam. Somebody had sent something to me, some notice that was trying to scare you and to clear things up, prove your identity by putting in your credit card number here.
Oh.
And for whatever reason, I started passing it around. Like I was a kid. And I knew what it was. And
Passing it around? What do you mean?
I forwarded it, and I had people I was trying to get people to respond to me so I could get their credit card number. But I had zero intent. I really mean this. I had zero intent on using the credit card number. At that point, buying stuff online wasn't really a thing that I knew. I'm sure it was in some level, but not a thing
And
that
you're
I
like
knew.
a kid. Are you going to go like ask your dad to take you to Best Buy?
Exactly.
So you can buy a TV.
Exactly. I just wanted to do it and to see if it would
Yeah,
work.
I get it.
And someone obviously reported me, and we got our account suspended, and my mom had to call, and they brought that up. I don't even think she understood what it was. She's like, I don't use it. I have a kid who uses it. And then I think we just played that card. Like, I don't know. The kid was stupid and did something, forwarded it.
Did you get in trouble?
No, because my parents didn't even think that I was trying to do anything.
Right.
No,
You're
there
like,
was
you're
no
just
trouble.
dumb.
And I wasn't trying to do anything. I knew what it was. And I knew
No, I totally understand that sort of motivation. We're like, especially at that age, it truly is like your brain is not developed enough to like understand the consequences of your actions. You know, you're just like, I want to see if I can do it. That's it.
like calling 911 after learning about it at school.
Exactly.
I went
I
home.
just want to try it.
I went home.
What do you mean? Oh.
I dialed it, hung up. They called back.
Yep.
My mom answered.
Did you call this number? No.
My
Yes,
mom.
you fucking did.
Yeah. I admitted that one. It's like, yeah, I just wanted to know what would happen. It's like, I wanted to
Were
know.
they nice to you?
Well, I didn't talk to her in 911. When they called back, my mom answered. And then when she asked if I'd called, I said yes.
Oh.
It was curious. It was a curious thing. I just wanted to know what happened when you would, have a light bright plugged into the wall and you took out the light bulb and shoved a screwdriver in the light bulb socket. I just wanted to know what would happen.
I wanted to know what the inside of my nightlight felt like when I put my finger in there.
And that explains a lot.
For both of us?
No, luckily the screwdriver I was using had a rubber handle.
Oh, you didn't get zapped though?
No, it blew the fuse and sparks flew, but it didn't get to me. The rubber handle protected me.
Oh, I did not have well, I was little. Maybe I was much small. Maybe I was younger than you when I did that. Because my parents said they just heard me screaming. They ran up and they were like, what's wrong? What's wrong? And all I would go is, and I'd point at the light.
Yep. Your brain fried. Why
Such a young age.
Why you can't hold a whole hour conversation on passwords.
That's why I don't know how to read or know anything about history.
Exactly, because you got zapped. Well, remember to change your passwords often, right? Just kidding. I mean, not kidding. You're supposed to, but fuck that. Too much work.
Fuck that.
Too much work.
It's too much work, and I don't remember them. Gosh, I really do feel like I should come up with like a new system.
You should probably just start documenting it, and I should start documenting it. But then you don't want it on your computer because someone could access that, and you got.
Then you feel like an idiot because if someone's like, "Why is it on your like?" It's like having your password written on a Post-it note next to your computer. It's like,
yeah,
you're not supposed to have it written down. It's supposed to be in your head.
And having it on notes on your computer is pretty dumb, especially, people can access your computer remotely and they could get all the passwords then. That seems more dangerous to me. Or, writing it, I guess, in a notebook and keeping that elsewhere is fine, except if you're not near the notebook, then you can't have access to the passwords.
So then you take a picture of the pages with your phone.
It's just, I don't want to deal with it. This is the future. This is becoming so reliant on all of this. That is one thing that I knew it, but it didn't really come to mind because I resisted apps for a very long time myself. I would just use the mobile version, the web version, and they always said, use our app. I said, fuck your app. But at some point I gave up. I gave in and I started downloading all the apps and having to log into all these things, and not just log into them, realizing how much I use them on a regular basis. It was pretty disgusting to me. I hate that this is where we are.
Maybe we should go on like a retreat.
You can't.
Like
Well, if you're talking about a retreat just to get away from technology, fine. But
no, but you're right. So like my mom had someone that she was sort of helping, taking care of in his old age. And when he died, they had a really hard time like logging into a bunch of stuff because it was sending information to like his phone, but his phone was like gone. It was it was, like shut off, and they had gone through those, you know what I mean? So like they couldn't access some things because of reasons like that. So, what do you do? It's like you have to get like a power of attorney, and you have to go through, all these hoops. It's
a thing to think about when you're about to die, getting older. Who do you give all your passwords to? Someone needs them, so they don't have to go through
Well, my mom recently sent me an email like letting me know that like here's a document with our passwords, and they're written down in a notebook in our like fire safe or whatever. So if they died, then I would have access to that. My mom's always been good about that. Like even when I was a kid, she told me about like, if something happens to us, we have a safety deposit box at this bank, and the information for it is here. And like, she was always preparing me for their death.
That's smart though.
It is smart.
It's as much as it stinks to talk about and think about. It's smart. Like these are things that are important, and the passwords, it's something I hadn't thought about, but it really is probably important that someone else has that, just to make their life easier when you die. Yeah. I was thinking also, well, no one needs this information, but I was just thinking about the passwords that I use. I also have one password that I use for all the fake accounts, but every once in a while, if it's an account I really don't think that I want, I just create a password that I'm never going to use again. And I did that with Instagram because I made that fake Instagram account.
Yeah.
And I did not care. And somehow, and I had to reach into the depths of my brain and my memory when I was trying to log back in, because as much as I say I don't care, it's gotten to the point with the Instagram account where I've posted some things and I follow some people. And the prospect of not being able to get back into it actually bothered me. It was, no, this can't be happening.
Well, because if you feel inspired, you want to post something,
But I had a real trend of making fake Gmail accounts to use for things, and the passwords associated with those were probably some of the most ridiculous things that I would never remember. And then there were times that I attached other things to the fake Gmail account and I could never get back in. So I feel as though having a list would be helpful in that too, even if there was a whole section just for bullshit passwords.
Well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get a tiny notebook. I'm just going to write I'm going to write down all the passwords.
I'm going to get a large notebook.
Yeah.
You get a tiny one, even though you hate the mini, the iPhone mini.
I'll get them like a tiny moleskin.
And I'll get the largest moleskin. What a disgusting name.
What are they made out of?
Cancerous moleskin.
Not mole. Is it made out of rat skin? Like mole rat?
I don't know. I don't like the name. I've never liked the name.
It is gross.
I think of a big bloody mole like someone's tried to pick
Fappening. You should get a moleskin and then just write words in it that you think are gross. That's your gross notebook.
And its origins are French.
Tiggle bitties will be in there.
There you go. The origins are French. Firstly is the name for a hard-wearing cotton material with a brushed surface, like a mole's skin. And then for the leather or oilskin covers. Okay, fine.
Whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, tiggle bitties would be in there. What else? What else did we call boobs that were so gross? There was something else.
I have to go back and listen to one of our top listened to episodes. If someone was able to steal our password, our login, they could get all those stats. They could see them all.
Oh, man. It's not that hard to guess.
It's really not, I guess.
No.
All right, let's see if someone can do it. Please don't try. Please don't do it.
And if you do try it, just be cool. Don't be uncool. Thanks everybody for listening. How did we do? Did I do okay with the password?
Yeah, it was fine. It was good. I think so.
Thank you.
Pretty good.
All right, pretty good. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends, rate our show. And go to hoffandpepper.com, support our sponsor. You can use our code OneTopic15 to get 15% off some locally made in Chattanooga hot sauce. It's so good and awesome. So go check it out, hoffandpepper.com, OneTopic15. Thanks, bye.